It is irresponsible to take an incident and try to turn it into something else. We are not Ferguson, Missouri. We are Greenville, South Carolina. And in Greenville, we come together as a community, we dialogue, we find the facts, and we follow the process. And at the end of the day, law and order will prevail. And so just thank you so much for coming and being a part of our process.
President of one of the neighborhoods, Felsie, Mr. Felsie.
On behalf of the neighborhood presidents, we would like to see, and we hope that it will come again, familiar presence of law enforcement in the neighborhoods. It is so important for them to know us and for us to know them. It means a lot. That's what we would like to work toward, so all of this can just go away. Thank you.
As President of the NAACP, J.M. Fleming, I first want to thank each and every one of you for coming and participating in this press conference. Everyone was willing to come and to share with us in this press conference and in meetings earlier. Again, I just want to thank you for the willingness and for those who are asking our communities to be calm and give the process a chance to work. Thank you so very kindly. Are there any questions?
Chief Miller, the group that was here earlier this week, Mr. Guy, Mr. McMahon, they say they were here to meet with city leaders about the situation and actually kind of several issues regarding the police department. Have you heard from any city leaders yet in regards to this incident, or have they been basically giving a hands-off approach and just letting you do your thing right now?
I did meet with the city manager and city attorney regarding their meeting with the group. You know, those conversations, I think, at this point need to be between us. But I have extended multiple times over my willingness to meet with Mr. Guy, Reverend Fant, Ms. Wangaza, and to talk through any issues. I will never turn anyone away. And I think if you were to find a few people out there who would never expect to have an audience with the chief, they've had one in the 3 months I've been here. And so I am willing to meet with them and would like to meet with them and have asked to meet with them. Unfortunately, they really don't have interest, I think, at this point. I would welcome that, though. And so my door's always open, and I would like to work to try and resolve or provide some greater level of understanding is about all I know to answer that question directly.
You mentioned during the press conference, right at the beginning of the press conference, and anyone that's here can pitch in on this as well. You mentioned that it might be politically motivated. Would you or someone that would be here be willing to expand on that?
Well, we have heard several, and if you've attended any of the forums, then we've heard several references to Ferguson and rising up against oppression. I have had some private conversations with some people in that group that lead me to believe that those interests are present.
And Chief, just to go back to the tasing, so I'm clear, there was only one full taser hit, and the second one was what? Wasn't full?
I'm sorry.
You had
full?
said that it wasn't a full.
No. When you pull and release the trigger on a taser device, it cycles for 5 seconds. So it discharges electricity for 5 seconds and then stops. But when you first do it, it pushes out 2 probes, right, to make the circuit. And so what happened was, as he was running, they fired, one of the probes hit him in the arm right about mid bicep on the side here. I'm not sure where the second one hit him at this point. But that caused him to fall, but he continued, once the cycle was over, he continued to flail and resist. And so the officer pulled the trigger a second time, which delivered 5 seconds of electricity. And then the taser was not used anymore.
You said you're going to be meeting with the autism group. Is there any policies that would change about using a taser with someone who you know have mental problems?
Well, I think we need to get through the situation at hand but in a discussion earlier today with our clergy, as we look to this incident and the ways in which we go about our work, we have to accomplish a couple of things. One, I think, and we need to do it together. One is we want to keep our citizenry safe, and we want to keep our officers safe. Those two things don't always seem to marry up very well in every situation, but there are many force policies out there. Every department has one, and departments typically reevaluate those each time there's a critical incident like this, and we also learn from one another through various forums and discussions. So I think you can expect us to revisit that and review it in concert, not only with our staff, but with members of our community.
To the community leaders here specifically, we've heard off and on that there might be some dissent in the African American community in regards to their feelings on this, on what's been happening since Christmas Eve. Specifically, we know that Mr. Guy and Mr. Fan are saying one thing. We have other community activists like Jack Logan saying a different thing in regards to letting the process. Jack Logan's basically saying, hey, let's let the process work. The NAACP, the Urban League are saying that, and then you have Mr. Guy and Mr. Fan basically saying, shall we say, slightly different things. Is there really a sense that's a division, or what are you hearing from the people that you represent, that you care for in this community?
It's not so much division in the community, it is the gathering of information. On our team, we gathered the information as the police gathered it, talked to people as the police talked to them, and yet the other team has to do the same thing. If they want to gather the correct information, they have to deal with the people who was on the scene, who saw what they saw and heard what they heard.
But in terms of the reaction from the community in regards to this story, I think some of the people that you all represent
Well,
have heard about this story and probably been watching.
Yeah, there are those in the community, one or two of them are gathering with the other group on the other side, but the numbers are very small. The community as a whole is thinking we're taking the right steps and we're making the right moves by calling the whole community together to discuss the situation, and that's where we find ourselves.
Is there anything that you can use to identify autism? Like I know diabetics wear bracelets to, when they're in an EMS type of situation. Is there anything like that that somebody with autism or somebody with other mental handicaps can wear to identify themselves as such? Has anybody heard?
There are several people that we hear in our earlier meeting that works with autism. There are braces, there are signs that you can put, there are things that you can give them. Put on their arm or wrist or around their neck. There are things out there for that. We just have to do it.
I will add this. There is still a concern that Mr. Anderson, given his condition, was allowed to move around at night alone, and that's still a serious concern for us and for members of our community. So it's important that you all know that we've been very delicate around that because we don't want anybody to believe we're playing a bait and switch on anything. We're going to address these issues head on. But that's a major concern. So, while we talk about identifying bracelets, whatever, good close custodial supervision really matters. And in this case, unfortunately, it wasn't really provided. And so we've got to deal with that, but in a separate way, and in a fair way. So we don't know all the circumstances around that, and I'm not so sure that's even a police investigation necessarily in and of itself. But at this point, being able to speak with Ms. Anderson would be an important priority. We've reached out to her on numerous occasions, and we don't yet have a statement. So we would encourage her, and if she's retained an attorney, to come forward and help us with her investigation. Because regardless of what happens on a civil suit side, if there's one initiated, we still have to answer the other two, the internal investigation and the criminal investigation. So SLED and our staff are going to need to hear from Miss Anderson. She was there. So.
And Chief, one more thing, when we're talking about facts, we had heard also that Mr. Anderson had a large amount of cash on him. Is that true, and was that a concern that he had that amount of money late at night walking by himself?
It is a concern, and yes, it's true. And I don't know what that means at this point. Again, I'm not interested in appearing like we're trying to twist the situations. Why really hadn't initiated around the dollar piece, and we probably could have early on. I don't think it would have been fair to the situation or to all the concerns that were out there from our community. Ms. Anderson should probably speak to that. So. Yes, sir.
Officers, that was a concern that was mentioned. Administrative leave.
They are not on administrative leave. This was less than lethal force. The injuries were very minor. The incident, I think we all can agree, is unfortunate. We regret any time that we have to use force to faithfully perform our duties. I can tell you so the officers are continuing to work. If there is something that comes up, and at this point nothing has come up, that would cause us to reconsider, we would reconsider. But at this point, nothing has come up. Okay.
Any other questions?
Right. Again, this is called, and I thank all of you for joining me and sharing your perspectives. This is an attempt to keep our public and the media informed of where we are with respect to the investigation. Again, for our viewing audience, if you know somebody, or if you yourself were present, or if you have videotape, we would encourage you to contact us. And we'll send somebody out to talk with you or meet you somewhere to talk and to receive that information, because it is important to us that we get all perspectives on this situation before we make any determinations. Thank you all.
Thank you. Chief?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
We're right around the back side.
No, good.